And we're live. Thank you guys for joining us. We're back with Winterviews Series 5, Episode 3. I am your host, Catherine Silva, Cat for short. And today we are talking to my fellow Mainer. I'm very excited. We have Renee DeCamillis here. Hey, Renee.
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome. I mean, awesome in a I'm sick but awesome sense.
Oh, that
Excuse me.
stinks.
But otherwise, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Preparing for a snowstorm, like you.
That is just kind of the way it is in Maine.
Oh yeah.
New England, I guess, is fair. Nonstop snow. I've had a lot this year.
Mm-hmm.
This one's not supposed to be that bad, though. I thought it was only supposed to be like 1 to 3.
I don't know. I hear different forecasts everywhere I look. I've heard 1 to 3. I've heard 3 to 6. Who knows? It's Maine. You just wait and you look out your window to see what the weather is.
It's true. The last several storms that we've had have been insane, like lots and lots and lots and lots of snow. And then we've had really, really cold temperatures as well to go along with it. If you happen to be a winter outdoorsy person, it's been the perfect winter. If you are not a winter outdoorsy person, it's felt like forever. But in any case, for those of us that also like to curl up and read books in the winter, it's also
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yes, right by the fire.
Right by the fire. And speaking of books, I want to just give you a chance to introduce yourself to our audience who might not know who you are. Shame on them, but they get to know you. So, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, Renee DeCamillis, Mainer. I'm a horror and dark fiction author and also an editor. I'm the author of 3 books so far: The Bone Cutters and Chisel the Bone. That's book 1 and book 2 in the Bone Cutter series. I'm currently writing book 3 right now. And my 3rd book came out in September, on September 10th, World Suicide Prevention Day. That one is called Try Not to Die by Your Own Hand. That one's more dark fiction than horror, but supernatural does appear in it.
Mm.
And I'm also currently not only currently writing book 3 of the Bone Cutter series, but I also have another novel, a tech horror cross genre novel that I'm currently shopping around to agents. And I have some short fiction out there and a few anthologies: Death Fest Confessions, The Devil's Playlist, Wicked Women, Horrors of the Deep, After the Burn. And I'm also a singer, a musician, singer, songwriter, and rhythm guitar player for a punk metal band called Scars Aligned. And I think that about sums it up.
Yeah, pretty rad bio.
Thanks.
And honestly, when I was formulating the questions for your episode, I thought about it after I'd sent them to you, and I was like, dang it, I really need to include some questions about being a musician, being in metal, right? You said metal.
Yeah, it's like metal, punk, stoner metal, kind of. I mean, just like my stories in my books, it's cross genre.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag.
So I do have extra questions to ask you about that and how it sort of coalesces with writing supernatural horror. Just so that you know that those will be coming up.
The
And
mystery questions.
yes, mystery questions. And that sort of segues us into today's topic, which is about supernatural horror. Now, supernatural horror is obviously things that are not of the natural when it comes to horror. Things kind of surrounding death. Sometimes religion is religious, like devils, angels, demons, those kinds of things are thrown in to sort of explain what supernatural horror is, but really it's kind of casts a wide net. It can be a lot of different things, as long as it's just sort of like not of this world. It's sort of otherworldly, not cosmic, but more afterlife sort of horror, I guess. And it's probably one of my favorite kinds of subgenres in horror. What about you?
Oh yeah, it's definitely mine. Yeah. I think everything I write has some kind of supernatural component to it. Like I said, even the last book I wrote that's dark fiction, the supernatural pops up. I can't help it.
Yeah, well, again, it embodies a lot of different kinds of horror within it. A lot of people probably know the TV show Supernatural. I think that that's also a really good just showcase of all the different kinds of supernatural horror that you can come across in the supernatural genre. I am curious what your introduction to supernatural horror was.
Well, I don't really know what the very first introduction was because my childhood was so long ago. But some of the things I remember, um, I don't know which order they came in, but my Nana Jo was a big horror and weird fiction fan, and she introduced me to the works of Edgar Allan Poe, and as well as we used to always watch The Twilight Zone
Nice.
and Alfred Hitchcock Presents, things like that. And I also remember, I don't know if I read it before Poe, but Algernon Blackwood's The
Yeah.
Willows.
Yes.
It sticks with me, just like
It's a
Poe's work and
beautiful
and
story.
all the stuff. Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. So I guess those were probably the very, very first, um, yeah, I think that was the beginning.
Um, as far as like moments that you do remember that kind of have also stuck with you, that have made you want to sort of write supernatural horror. Um, are there any, I guess, that are of more recent, I suppose, like when you were starting to write initially, besides, I guess, I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say. I'm having a very hard time saying it, so I
That's
apologize.
okay. Take your time.
Like besides childhood, I guess,
Yeah.
more like more adult when you start
Well,
to.
like you mentioned the show Supernatural. Like I am obsessed with that show. I'm old school. I have every single episode, every season on like the whole DVD collection. Like Sam and Dean are like my brothers.
Awesome.
I've watched it so much, was obsessed with it. Like I thought the writing was, I mean, yeah, there are some bad episodes, but the writing was really incredible. But more recent, like, are you thinking like movies or
Um,
fiction or see, I'm a believer in the supernatural anyway. So
okay.
I think that's why I think that's part of why it's like I obsess about the supernatural. I've had experiences dealing with the supernatural in
Okay.
life. Um, so it's just, a lot of people say write what you know, but I don't I write what I obsess about, what consumes my brain. I have to get it out on the page. So I think that's why supernatural plays such a big role. The supernatural comes into a lot of stuff I write. Um, and there's so many supernatural movies with supernatural elements in it that I couldn't even begin to think like, well, I mean, one of my first introductions that I'm still obsessed with is Hellraiser. That was my first introduction to Clive Barker, was that the actual movie. Because I was like the youngest in my family, and all my older siblings and my older cousin, they'd always be watching horror, and I got sucked right into it. And of course, it's back in the 80s. They're just like, oh, it's fine. She's only 7, but just cover your eyes. You know how that goes. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty like. I will admit I have not seen the original Hellraiser. Mostly because I've seen photos, like still shots from the movie, and I'm like, I would be scared of this. This is something that would actively freak me out.
Yes, it would.
And I'm just not sure I can handle it. But I have seen the newer one, which I'm not sure if you've seen, the remake that they did, or not the remake, but reimagining, I guess.
I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I have. I can't even remember. So that must mean I haven't.
I would say from what I know of the original, it feels fairly tame. I think it still definitely has there are some parts that are certainly staying true to the series. But again, it's that like 2010s versus, or 2020, whenever it was made, versus the 80s, where kind of everything was good. No one really objected to how crazy some of those gore visuals were.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's why I like it.
I am curious though, do you feel comfortable talking about some of the supernatural experiences that you've had that are kind of
I have had experiences with feeling a presence, hearing things. I don't see a lot of the supernatural, but I have caught glimpses. I've had shadow people in my home. I've had, well, I don't know if this would go, technically bring into cosmic horror, but I've had portals in my home to other dimensions that needed closing, that were allowing shadow people to come into my home. I've had spirits on my land that I had to have cleared because I grew up on the property that I live on.
Okay.
And I've always felt a really deep connection to the actual land that I live on, but I've always felt a heavy, dark energy on the land at the same time as feeling very peaceful on the land, if that makes any sense. And I had I brought a medium to my house who clears energy. And my suspicion of the dark energy, because the town I live in was, back in the colonial era, was a garrison. And I've felt the presence of Native American spirits on my land. And I invited a medium here, not telling her, just telling her that I felt heaviness. I felt heaviness on my land. I've seen shadow people. They wake me in the middle of the night. And people can call me crazy or, schizophrenic or whatever they want to say. But when my cat responds to it, and not just me responding to it, that tells me that I'm not responding to something that's only happening in my head. So I invited a medium here, just wanting her to clear my land. I told her about the shadow people. That's all she knew about. And when we went outside, she gravitated towards a couple of oak trees that are I feel a deep connection to. I never knew why I felt a connection to them. And she also she brought me to a spot on my land where there used to be when we first moved when I was a child, there was a big pit in the back of my yard. And I found out when I grew up that pit used to be where the locals used to come dump old furniture and things before our property was settled. And always I've wanted to dig it up to find out what's under there, because it was just filled in.
Yeah.
But the medium brought me straight to that spot where the pit used to be, and told me that there was a lot of negative energy from the times of the native tribes being on this land. And she went directly to a tree, one of the oak trees that I've felt a connection to, and said a lot of bad things happened here. But we made offerings to the spirits. And she told me that the spirits welcome me to this land because I care for the land as they would have cared for the land. And ever since she cleared the energy, it hasn't felt negative here anymore. It feels a lot more peaceful. And I feel an even deeper connection to the land, if that makes any sense.
It totally makes sense. Yeah. That's amazing and awesome that you had the opportunity to make peace with.
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah. There's a lot of what I was thinking you were going to say at first was that there was a lot of like negative energy attached to the furniture that was that had been thrown in that pit. I
still want to dig it up.
Yeah. I bet there's all kinds of weird stuff down there.
Oh yeah, my horror brain goes very dark.
Speaking of dark horror brain, I finished reading your first book, Bone Cutters.
Oh yes.
And what I appreciate, sorry, I am in a struggle with my cat right now he is pushing the chair that this laptop is on, and he's trying to push it away.
Because your attention is not on the kitty.
It's not. Jelly,
cats do not like that. They do not like to play second fiddle to anybody else.
I'm just going to. So what I really appreciated about Bone Cutters was that it is not an in-your-face supernatural story. In fact, it mostly plays out as more of a psychological action-packed horror. And it starts that way immediately, like from the get-go, chapter 1. And what I remembered getting into chapter 1 and reading it and being like, I feel like I don't know what's going on, but this character also does not know what's going on. And I love that you're able to create this world and this environment so quickly and so succinctly that you just like you are there in that character's head being dragged along through all of the shit that she's going through. And when the supernatural elements do present themselves, it's just as much of a WTF moment for the reader as it is for the character, and the various characters in that scene. So I loved that.
Thank you. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun to write.
I bet. Did you know from the start that was going to be a supernatural, that was going to go in a supernatural direction?
No, I had no idea.
Okay.
No, I'm quite a pantser. I let the character guide me. I mean, when I set out to write it, I mean, I've worked in a psychiatric hospital. I worked in a dysfunctional psychiatric hospital, so I've always wanted to write about that scene,
Okay.
that environment. And I actually set out to write that because it all came from a nightmare. It just came from one scene from a nightmare, where a friend of mine and I, a friend of mine asked, we were just out and about for a night out, and she's like, "Oh, I just gotta stop by," and I told my friend I'd stop by real quick to see him. Do you mind if we stop by real quick? I'm like, "No, that's fine." And we walk upstairs to this big open space room. And there's a big circle of people, a bunch of people sitting in a big circle, all talking. And we're just like, "Whoa, what's going on?" So we just kind of stand off to the side, and it's basically, it's the first scene in that book.
Yeah.
That first scene, it's a counseling group, and in my dream, I'm just standing off to the side trying to figure out, like, what are they all talking about? And then I find out that it's like a counseling group or something. And but yeah, then somebody talks about what the scars are all from that they have, and I find out that they carve into themselves and get high off bone dust. They scrape their bones and get high off bone dust. And I just woke up all freaked out. I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck was that?" And when I told my husband about it, he's like, "Okay, yeah, that's a story. You need to write that." So I just started writing it, and I just started with that scene. I had no idea where it was going, and I played off my experiences working in the psychiatric hospital, and then I just let it guide me. And like I said, I'm obsessed with the supernatural, so it just seems normal for it to just lead there.
Yep. I've heard you read from the second book several times, but I haven't read it yet. In fact, I don't own it yet, so I need to get it from you. But
Yes.
The second book, which is, having a time just trying to remember
Chisel the bone.
Chisel the bone. Thank you.
Bone. Yeah.
Chisel the bone is a more recent read, and or more recent publication, and it got a lot of really stellar reviews. And I gathered from a few of your readings that this one really, really jumps into the supernatural more.
Yes, it does. And I think that was, really, because I didn't know that was coming in the first book. So of course it has to carry over, and then you need, you got to bring it out more. Just a natural progression.
Did this one feel more like kind of freeing to be able to just kind of like open the tome and go crazy with the supernatural stuff?
Yes, it did. It did. Yeah, because like with the first book, it's like the supernatural, throughout the beginning of the book, it just kind of hides kind of between the lines, until it just, kind of speeds up and you know, blows up in the end. But yeah, right. Yeah, with book 2, it's there already. It's already an established element of the story. So I had to, lean more into that because that plays a big role with finding out what the hell's going on.
Awesome. Were you ever, when you sort of did realize that you were going to go in a supernatural direction with the Bone Cutters, were you ever tempted to go back in the story and add more supernatural, or did you kind of know that you were going to just keep it light?
To book 1, you mean?
To book 1. Yeah.
No, I like the slow build in book 1. And I think it works better that way in book 1 because we also got to remember that the character is in a very vulnerable mental health crisis. And she keeps getting a bunch of, psychotropic medications pumped into her at the hospital. So she's not always in her right mind. So she doesn't always know if what's going on is like really going on, or is it the meds, or, so I think in that book, it's better. It's better to handle it that way. And in book 2, I mean, she knows. And in book 2, she's not in the hospital anymore. So she's not being forced to take all these medications that she doesn't need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, even though, my character struggles with, mental health problems, anxiety and depression and suicide ideation, but, she has a lot of PTSD, but she's not on all the meds. So she doesn't have all these chemicals, these foreign chemicals, messing with her brain. So of course, now she can see things more for what they are.
Yeah.
She's more accepting, and she's more trusting of what she sees, what she hears, and what she senses because of what happened in book 1 and what she discovered towards the ending.
Awesome. Makes sense. Natural progression. And it's also fun to, like, you play the psychological game in the first one, with with that sort of, is this real, isn't this real, idea. But also what's nice about not doing that in the second one is that you are sort of leaning into the idea that the reader is smart enough to know, just as well as your main character, that this is all real in this world, and we're not going to skirt around and play with this anymore. This idea that it's not. We're just going to get down to it.
Yeah, because like the first book too. It's horror. It's supernatural horror, but it really is heavy in the psychological thriller, more so than heavy-handed with the horror. It's horrific, and but
no, those horror elements do start to come into play further along in the book. Certainly, there's a scene with a stairwell that's particularly eerie, and like that was probably the scariest part that I remembered reading, where I was like, I'm freaking out. like this is a scary part of this hospital. Like, these characters are trying not to be found. Not going to give any more away other than that, but that you do a really good job with building, setting the scene, building the tension, and sort of creeping those horror elements in, whilst also giving us lots of action. So,
Thanks.
so anyway, you all need to read it so that then you can read book 2 and then eventually book 3 when that comes out. I am going to go on to, I have a question here, which is talking about supernatural horror, and it's a pretty broad spectrum, as we were talking about, falling into stories where characters have to contend with some version of the afterlife assailing them. Do you, as a writer, tend to create worlds where the supernatural is commonplace for its characters, or do you prefer to have characters mentally and emotionally grapple with learning about it?
I like both. I like both ways to write the supernatural. But I do have a special love of there being a skeptic somewhere. I like for the believer to come up against a skeptic at some point, because it's really fun to play with that tension, you know. And I know it's not really horror, it's more sci-fi, but I immediately think of the dynamics between like Mulder and Scully in the
Yeah.
X-Files. I love that back and forth, how they're just both trying to prove each other wrong,
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
and that I love that tension. You know, and a lot of, and I like to infuse some humor into my horror. And I think when you have a skeptic come on the scene, it makes it a lot easier to that opens up a lot of possibilities to add a little bit of humor here and there. But I do like it when it's just commonplace. It's just part of the world. The characters accept it. The characters know about it. And actually, the work that comes to mind that I really admire is the work of Kelly Link and her magical realism. Like, she is just, she can create these magical worlds that are so vibrant and real, and I really admire that. And I haven't written any magical realism. I have some things I'm playing with at the moment. But
Nice.
the book that I'm shopping to agents right now, the tech horror cross genre novel, that has a lot of supernatural in it, and it's commonplace for many of the characters in the novel, but skeptics do come on the scene. Actually, a couple of them come on the scene in the form of their cops. Because I can't get away from that tension of the non-believer. And I think that also is a personal thing, because I'm a believer in the supernatural, and I've had so many people just think I'm a fucking nutcase. And yeah, so I like coming up against skeptics and, you know, trying to prove to them that there's more to this world than you can even imagine.
I mean,
You know,
I think
science doesn't know everything.
the wanting or liking to have a skeptical character, though, that feels very natural. That feels like you're going to have plenty of readers who will pick up a book that has some kind of supernatural element or magical realism or something to that fact, and they're going to want some explanation. You're always going to have that kind of reader looking at that kind of book. So calling it out, having somebody that they can identify with, is not a bad thing at all. It makes the world feel more real somehow. So I get it. I think that's a smart inclusion.
Well, and that's the thing too, is bringing that sort of realism in there, because Like speaking of like Kelly Link's work and my attempt to write magical realism, um, my attempts almost come across like, I don't know, whimsical and not, I don't know, it doesn't feel, I haven't mastered it yet. It doesn't feel real the way I've written it, and it just seems natural to bring in somebody that doesn't believe, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and in a way to say, yes, this is real. Like you need the skeptic to see that this is they're a non-believer, but now they see the evidence, they
Yeah.
see they see the things happening that they're like, they have no explanation for. Um, and I don't know. I just, who knows? Maybe I'll just always have a skeptic in there. I don't know. The only time will tell.
Yep. I mean, that's as you play around with it more and become more familiar with it and read more of that genre,
Hmm.
I'm sure you're going to find different ways to want to include or not include that skepticism.
Hmm.
And it may not work for a story in the future. So there's no telling
Right.
what what is going to work and what isn't. Um, I will say right now I am listening to the audiobook. And this is not necessarily a book that I would describe as supernatural, but it certainly does have a folklory, fairy tale, magical realism ishness to it, and that is
Hmm.
The Changeling. Um,
Oh yes, I love that. I love that book.
and there is plenty of healthy skepticism in that book because
Hmm.
it's centered around such horrific events um, that are going on. And I really, so far, am loving how it's being treated. Um, that everything feels real in spite of how unnatural it is.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good one. I love
Um,
all of Victor's work.
this is my first.
Oh, is it?
I'm
Yeah.
late to the game. But this the audiobook
The
is
Ballad of Black Tom.
I
So
have
also
that
a really good one.
I have that downstairs. I also have Lone Woman downstairs.
I haven't read that one yet. I need to get that one.
But I am really appreciating the audiobook is told from Victor Laval's, like it's him narrating.
Oh, really?
And it's
Cool.
so good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Um
he's one of my favorite authors. I love his work.
I think this might be one of my favorite books.
Mm.
So far anyway. I'm on chapter 43 or something.
Hmm.
um Back into our questions about supernatural horror. I have the question that I was sort of dancing around earlier, which was religion and faith, which often take a central place in supernatural horror. Um, do you tend to go religious? And that does not, a lot of people immediately jump on Christianity as being that religious thing, but it certainly does not need to be. You can certainly have other religious supernatural horror. Do you tend to weave it into your work at all, or do you kind of keep your distance from it?
I I have not weaved it into any of my work. Um, I mean, my most recent book, the Try Not to Die by Your Own Hand, I mean, some could say that it might touch on religion only because of a ghost. Um, but I don't think of ghosts as always needing to be in the religious realm.
Mm.
So no, I don't deal with religion a lot, but I do like stories. It doesn't mean I won't write something like that, because I love stories that put the supernatural, um, and I mean the super. I don't know how to describe this. Like, I like stories that put the supernatural up against religious type of thinking. Yeah, I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but
Well,
I don't know how to say it, but
are we talking about sort of like the idea of afterlives, like what is beyond death? Is it is there a heaven,
yes,
hell, that kind of thing?
yeah, and like my work, I mean, demons appear in my work, but I don't necessarily see demons always linked with religion,
mm,
if that makes any sense.
sure.
Um, because I don't believe in any religions. Like, I don't believe in any organized religion. Um, like, I personally think all religions should be just wiped out, because then we can actually get along. Everybody can get along if we don't have any religion, because that seems to be what everybody fights about. Um,
Among other
but yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah, one of the many things. But demons come into play, so that could, some people could see that as religious. I have, you know ghosts of people who have passed on, people could see that as religious, but I don't really touch on the religious aspect. But again, I love stories about exorcisms. I love
Mhm.
the nun movies, like, whoo, love them. um and if I ever wrote something with religion, it would always have to, I know it would definitely come down to the evils of religion,
Mm, okay.
because in religions are filled with evil.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
probably will write something like that one day, because I have strong feelings about religion,
Sure. No.
and not positive.
I mean, I certainly have put nods in my work to the fact that I'm, not a fan of it either. So I understand where you're coming from there. It's a heavy subject to get into,
Yes.
um, in because it's also, for a lot of authors, it's a very personal subject. We have
Mhm.
very strong feelings about it, just like we have very strong feelings about politics. It's just like, it feels like one of those taboo things that you just don't want to get into, because you know that somebody is going to latch onto it and uh,
Oh yeah,
get hung up on it.
my mom always taught me that the two things you don't talk about in the social setting: religion and politics.
And
Don't
that's,
even
I
bring them
think,
up.
that's kind of what everybody's parents taught them, um, because it's not it's not light party talk or
Right.
dinner table conversation, um,
Right. It's
but
going to lead to confrontation.
but with
Inevitable.
books, with stories, you have the space to be able to explore it, but it's also, again, it's personal and it's heavy, and it's um something that some people may never write about, because it's just not important enough to them, and for other people it's, you know just takes time before they're ready to do it. um
Right. And I
but
think that's where I am. It takes time before I'm ready to do it. I haven't delved into that deep story aspect of including the religion.
and you got time.
I do.
I do just want to make sure that I have been very bad about checking on the comments, so I apologize, guys, for not showing things on screen, but I do just want to show we do have somebody who just bought The Changing and Book of Love by Kelly Link, and also picked up Bone Cutters. So thank you for doing that. And I do also just want to, there was somebody who had asked a question, which we may have already answered at this point, but Joe had asked what drew you personally to supernatural horror as a genre, which we've covered pretty extensively, but he also did ask, what does it let you explore that realism can't? Which is an interesting additional question.
Yeah, that is. So, will you repeat that again?
So he's asking, what does supernatural horror let you explore that realism can't?
The things we can't see with our eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it brings in the other senses that many people neglect to pay attention to, and they neglect to acknowledge even exist, or deny exist. So yeah, I think that's what it is. It brings in the things that you can't, see or touch. Like you can't feel them, by touching them or see them with your eyes.
That's a really good answer. I am going to get to the mystery questions now, which are very music inspired. There is a lot of correlation between metal, rock, and horror. And I kind of want to know what what are the what do you bring to all of these things that what are I cannot speak right now. I'm going to blame a lot of this on the brain fog from the never ending cold, so I apologize. What are the similarities that you find between writing and performing your metal and punk music that you also bring to writing horror? And then also how do those two creativity how do those two creative pieces differ when you're being creative in them? God, I can't talk. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I have a lot of pent up anger inside of me, and I think that's why I choose. That's why I gravitate towards metal and punk, because it lets me release all that, all the darkness that I dwell on. I have this. I don't know. I kind of call it a sickness, that my mind just immediately gravitates to the worst possible scenario that could ever happen. And metal and punk music is a great outlet for things like that. And so is horror. So I think that they go hand in hand. The genres go hand in hand. And, I find that I actually write a lot of songs that are inspired by my stories.
Cool.
And a lot of my stories will have a musician character somewhere in there, often a main character or a side character, or somehow music plays into almost everything I write in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes I I can pull song lyrics out of my stories. You know, I'll write a line and I'm like, oh, that's great. I love that line. That'll be great in a song. Or I just like what's going on in the story so much that I write it into a song form. Or I write a song and I'm like, oh, there's so much more in this, what this song is about, that I could develop into a story. So they go hand in hand. I mean, they really complement each other. And I also use a lot of song titles tend to play into a lot of my stories, because I can't get, like, I'll be writing a story and I'll be writing a scene or a character says something and it reminds me of a song. So a song title will come in, or, you know, I'll kind of riff on lyrics
Okay.
of known songs, but you know, it's paraphrased or just or kind
Sure.
of
Yeah.
masked within the story. Like I can't help it. I've been writing poetry in song lyrics since I was a kid. That was like the first thing I started writing, you know, and then my first stories that I ever wrote, I ended up writing them about, like, they were always about bands. It was stories about bands or shenanigans happening with, you know, on tour or whatever. So I can't get it out of, it's just automatic.
Do you think that you'll ever write a book that is, you know, like an entire meshing of rock and horror, like something that is about a metal or punk band and something horrific happening to them?
Well, I did publish a short story in Death Fest Confessions, the Devil's Playlist, and that's what it is. It's a actual it's written from the perspective of a lead singer of a speed metal band that played at a metal festival that ended in chaos and thousands upon thousands of mysterious deaths and
Damn.
freakish evil things that people did at the concert. So the
Okay.
story is about what happened, what that band experienced at the festival.
Okay.
So I've already done
Yeah.
that in short form. And in Try Not to Die by Your Own Hand, the main character, the opening scene starts with a gig that the main character is, her band is playing at a
Okay.
gig. That doesn't take the whole story. You know, the band aspect of it doesn't take up the whole story, but it takes up a good chunk in the beginning of the book. So, but I'm sure, oh my God, yeah, I'm sure something like that will come to me down the line.
Nice. Are you the kind of person that listens to music while you're writing?
No,
No. Okay.
no, I can't. I sometimes will listen to, seems weird. It seems, it's not very horror, but I sometimes I have a hard time focusing. I have so many projects. I have so many things. I wear so many different hats. So sometimes I might put on kind of a trance like meditative
Sure.
instrumental music, but it has to be something, it's more like it's not in like it can't be anything like what I would possibly write
Yeah.
or play, because if something like that's playing, I'm listening to the rhythms and I'm listening to the riffs and I'm listening to all the different parts of the music. Or if there are
Yeah.
lyrics, I'm listening to the lyrics, and then I want to sing, and then I want to know I want to try that rhythm on my drum, or I want to see if I can play that. And it just pulls me out of the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly have music playing in my head anyway. So yeah, I don't need to actually play music because it's in here all the time.
No, I hear you. I can see where that would be really distracting.
Mm.
Um, um, for our wrap up questions, because we've reached the wrap up portion of the show. We went over this a little bit already, but in case we missed any, what are some of your favorite supernatural horror films or television shows or books or games if you happen to play games?
Hmm. Well, TV, I already told you Supernatural.
Yep.
Like, I'm obsessed with that. I mean, like, when I used to have, back in the day when I had DirecTV, I mean, I would watch reruns. I mean, I didn't care how many times I'd seen it. I'd like the show just as much the fifth, sixth, seventh time I watched it, even if
Yeah.
I can recite half the lines. Um, and another series that I can't get out of my head ever since watching it is Hemlock Grove.
Yeah. All right.
That first season,
Yeah.
I aspire to write like that. Like you were describing what you felt when you were reading The Bone Cutters and how you're just like,
Mhm.
I have no idea what's going on. That's how the first season of Hemlock Grove was. I had no idea what was going on, and I could not look away. I could not
Yeah.
stop watching it because I needed to know what the hell is going on. And I
Yeah.
love that writing. That is like
Hemlock
I love
Grove.
that.
Hemlock Grove was one of those TV shows where I felt like they absolutely had some weird inspiration from like Twin Peaks and uh and then maybe some like faint twilighty like without the gross romance stuff going
Right. Yeah.
on.
I like that. The gross romance
But
stuff.
but definitely the definitely the I don't know what's happening. This is a quirky AF town
Hmm.
with a lot of shit going on, and a phenomenal uh, reveal, I guess I would say,
Yes.
in that first season, which
Hmm.
I remember I paused that show and stood up and like walked around and was just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. Yes. I know. At the end of every episode, I'm like, what the hell? What did I just watch? Next show. I have to watch it right now. I
Yep.
need to know what's going on. And then you still don't find out what's going on. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, next show. I gotta, and you still don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it just
Um,
pulls you through it. And it's just, oh my God, it's amazing writing. It's
yeah.
absolutely amazing writing.
It's a good
Um,
one. I think it's based on a book, if not a book, then a book series.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't look into that. I just so obsessed with it. Um,
Um, I'm fairly sure, but I don't know. Like, I want to say that I read that somewhere
mhm.
when I was looking up things. Uh, and now I'm just gonna double check because I am curious. Um,
Yeah, I'm curious too, because if it is inspired by a book, I'd like to check out the book.
yeah, it is based on Brian McGreevy's novel of the same name.
Okay,
So,
I'll check that out. Definitely. I
yeah.
wonder if it's I wonder if the book is written similar to that first season, because I think the first season is way better than
the first
season 2
season
and
is
3.
definitely the best season. Season 3 is where it kind of fell off for me.
Ooh, yeah, same with me.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, definitely that's a good one.
Another show that I really like, just for the absurdity and the humor, just is What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
I love dark humor. I'm
Yeah.
a sucker for dark humor. Um, I have a bad habit of letting my dark humor out in the wrong time and place. um, but yeah, I love that show. And another one, The Fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm such a huge Poe fan that I went into that expecting it to I didn't go into it with high expectations, and I was pleasantly surprised with how well how I think it's amazing. I think they did an amazing job with that series. Um,
Yeah.
those are the ones that stand out to me. I mean, I like Stranger Things. Stranger Things is cool. Um, I like, it's, young adult, but I like, Wednesday season 1. I really like
Yeah.
that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I think season 1 was better than season 2, but I really like that. I like that a lot too. But so that's TV. So movies, I already mentioned Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And also from back in the day too, some of the ones that really stuck out for me that are favorites of mine still are I have to go to Stephen King, of course, Carrie and The Shining. Those are the
Mhm.
two I think probably that had the biggest impact on me, that I still love those stories. And Amityville Horror.
Mm.
I think Amityville Horror scared the crap out of me. And I love exorcist movies about exorcisms, of course, The Exorcist. But also, did you ever see The Exorcism of Emily Rose?
No, exorcism movies tend to freak me out.
Me too. They are
So
freaking scary, but that's why I like them.
I don't seek them out. I
I do.
saw a
As
lot
much as I
of
don't
the
like religion.
a lot of the oh my god, what's the couple who like goes into houses and exercises, and they had Annabelle the doll. Um is it The Conjuring?
Conjuring.
Yeah, The Conjuring. Like I saw that movie and I was like, yeah, that was scary. I'm good with like not going and looking for exorcism movies.
Yeah. Another
My
one. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh sorry. I
No, go ahead.
this is not even uh super relevant, but I was going to say my mom worked at like a small hotel out in California, and when The Exorcist was like a huge movie, um the I think it's Werner Herzog. Is it Werner Herzog? Who's the actor who plays the priest in that
I don't.
movie?
I'm terrible with names.
Um,
I don't remember names.
showed
I
up
remember faces.
showed up and stayed at that hotel
Oh,
um,
really?
when she was there, which she thought was pretty cool. It's one of
Yeah,
those
it's
things
pretty
she
cool. Yeah,
has mentioned. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's pretty cool. I think I already mentioned The Nun. Like, I love The Nun. That was friggin' amazing. But another one um that sticks out is Sinister.
Sinister, yeah.
I really liked Sinister a lot. Um, and then going religion, Constantine. I really like Constantine.
I liked Constantine a lot. That was
Mm.
one that sat with me for
Yeah,
a
that
long.
one. Yeah, same with me. That one sticks with me.
Yeah, that was good. I'd like to read some of those comics, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, great movie. And
But what else did you want to know? Like you wanted to know TV, movies. Oh well, books. Dang.
yeah,
Well, I love all Poe stuff. I just love anything by Poe, and already mentioned the Willows, but maybe some more recent things. That's what stands. Well, my favorite author, one of my favorite authors, Stephen Graham Jones, Mongrels. That's
mm,
the Mongrels, and his trilogy, the Indian Lake trilogy, the Angel of Indian Lake trilogy. Those are both very big favorites of mine, and of course, the haunting of Hill House,
mm,
and also Elizabeth Hand's The Haunting on the Hill. Oh, and like I had said about how I love stories that put the supernatural um, up. I like stories that put the supernatural up against science and
hmm
mental illness.
yeah,
Is it a mental illness or is it really something supernatural going on? Um, Paul Tremblay's A Head Full of Ghosts, which is actually
yeah,
now going to be made into a movie.
yeah,
And I am so friggin' pumped for that movie because that
yeah.
book is, I love that book. I love that story. It's so good.
I was gonna say I read that one several years ago, and they were like they had said that was going to be a movie then. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to see that they've got like a cast now, and
Yeah. And yeah, I was so excited to see that announcement because I mean, it reads like a movie. I mean, when
it
I'm reading
does.
it, I'm seeing it playing out on a screen. It's a movie. It just is. So it's great that it's going to finally be made into a movie.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I feel like I had. Did you read The Only Good Indians by
Oh,
Stephen
yes.
Jones?
Yeah. That's a
That
good one
was
too.
that was the other one I was thinking
Yeah.
of. Um,
Yeah. That's a really good
like
book.
just a really poignant uh, thought about death and revenge after death. Uh,
Yeah. Well, I love animals. So that story it's very emotional for me.
mhm,
Uh, yeah, it was very emotional. Yeah.
Yep. Um, I do also want to ask, since we've talked a little bit about it, you've got something on Query that is supernatural,
Hmm.
um, and then you are also working on book 3 of same series as the Bone Cutters and Chisel the Bone. Is there anything else supernatural horror that you are working on or you are hoping to work on soon?
Well, I have my very first novel that I wrote. Um, I still haven't gone back to revise the second half. It needs to be revised. But when it was out to beta readers, I had already started writing The Bone Cutters, which was leading
Mm,
into a sequel and just all these other projects like piled on. So I haven't
yeah.
gone back to revise the second half yet. And I absolutely love that book, and I am going to. I believe, as long as no other ideas start screaming at me to be written before I get these other two books done, I want to go back and revise that second half, and that deals with that one is about a psychiatrist who is also a psychic, and
Okay.
and she battles with her abilities and her profession, and as well as the fact that her mother is a institutionalized schizophrenic.
Gotcha.
So so that one's in the works too. Like once these other two novels are done, and yeah, projects. I don't have enough time to write them all. I have so many
No,
ideas.
that's the way it should be,
Yeah.
honestly. It's when I fear for when I don't have something
Yes. Yes.
next.
I don't. I can understand that fear, but I have so many ideas that I think my biggest fear is that I'm not going to have time to write them all and get them out into the world,
I
or
mean,
I'll forget them before I have a chance to put the time into developing them on the page.
I mean, the only thing about that is that if you have a lot of ideas and the majority of them are written, you could totally have a Michael Crichton situation where somebody just comes in and like finishes them all up for you and gets them published after you die, which is also pretty cool.
Well, I hope if I have unfinished stuff when I die that will happen, but I don't want that to happen with all these books. I need to get them out. I want to see them, out in the world,
Yeah.
But I'm sure everyone who's had stuff come out after their death felt the same way. So,
well, plenty of time, plenty of awesome things to come. For those of you who have joined us this evening, you absolutely should go check out Renee's work. She has 3 books out and then several short stories. You can pick up The Bone Cutters and Chisel the Bone, the first 2 books in that series, and then Try Not to Die by Your Own Hand, which is I also have that, and that there's a percentage of that goes to helping out.
actually, all profit,
That's it. Okay.
donate. Yeah, all
Sorry.
profit from that is donated to Maine's mobile crisis hotline to support suicide prevention and mental health services.
Which is awesome. Like, I knew nothing about that until I went to your reading and signing about it. So that was really cool to learn all of that. So that all goes to a good cause. Pick that one up too. If you have the opportunity to see Renee at any events, you should absolutely go see her, get things signed, talk to her. And that does it for our show. Thank you for bearing with me and my technological issues and all of my
thank you for having me and being willing to reschedule after the power outage last week. So I was like, oh no, I didn't know if you had other people scheduled. I was like, I don't know if she's going to be able to fit me in now.
Well, that's I've got people scheduled, but this wouldn't be the first time that this has happened. We've already had to reschedule one this season because of me being sick. So I really do try to not like mess that up as much as possible. So I'm 2 for 2 now. Hopefully we won't have any other issues the rest of the season. Speaking of which, Thursday this week, we have Kat Delani, and we're going to be talking about carnival and circus horror, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
So if you guys you should. We're going to be right back here Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come hang out with us. Thank you all for coming out and not coming out. You didn't have to go anywhere. You just had to and go to
Tuning
YouTube.
in.
Thank you for doing that. And thanks for hanging out and listening to us, and for jumping in the comments. And we'll see you again soon. So have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night.